This is the first episode of May We Know Them, which is kind of a podcast, video podcast, seminar series. I don't know what it is.
Series?
Yeah. My dear friend and just inspiration guru, Cristina. Martha, I love you so much. Martha is just a creative visionary. She is a marketing magician, brand strategist. Like, if you have something you want to create, why aren't you talking to her already? She's a jewelry designer and overall just badass woman who she designs jewelry that sends a message in the most like graceful and fierce way. It's like just the perfect integration of like just who you are, and gives back to the world too. She's just such a powerhouse, and I'm just so excited to have you here today to share your story. Martha and I know each other. We both went through a year-long, super intensive ontological coach training program. Basically, we looked at who we're choosing to be in the world and helping others to do the same. And what Martha's going to be sharing with us tonight, a lot of it came from a big breakthrough she had in the program. Anybody who's listening to this right now, whether you're with us live or you're listening to a recording, I really encourage you to just have some paper nearby and jot down anything that Martha says that resonates with you. Because I'm really excited to see what kind of conversation evolves from here. So whether that's in the comments of wherever you're finding this, or a question you want to ask your girlfriends the next time you're together, please write this down and carry it with you. So with that, Martha, I'd love for you to just clue us in as to, just give us some backstory here. Like, what was going on in your life before you kind of had this moment where things shifted for you? What was going on? What was true for you?
If you look at my life on paper, it was great. I have 2 degrees. I speak 4 languages. I lived in Italy. I was already done with my master's by 25. My first job was at Cartier. Like, anything that I ever wanted, it was like accomplished. I graduated with honors, and then my master's, I got a scholarship when I lived in Italy. Like, I was very accomplished, and I think it was me thinking that everything was fine, but still wanting something else. And I have always pushed myself to be the best, no matter what. And my parents are so loving and supportive, but there was always this drive in me that I wanted to prove myself worthy of, even if I couldn't say it. Now I see it, and I am aware of it, and I can like touch it and tell you what it was. I wasn't aware of what it was, and I just knew I had this huge drive. I came alone to New York like 5 years ago with no connections. I got my first job. I was able to get like amazing, interesting jobs that I love doing. Probably in the beginning, I was not getting paid much. I ended up managing a big restaurant with 20 restaurants around, opening 5. Like, I have done a lot that not a lot of people in my I'm 31 have done, including like open those 10 stores and those 15 stores and 15 retail stores, 10 restaurants, manage these huge campaigns. And I still felt that I wasn't enough. And that was the biggest like issue.
So you're doing all the things. On paper, you look like the person everybody wants to aspire to be. You just got it all going for you. And yet, so I'm hearing a couple things. So even like throughout all of that, this inner dialogue telling you weren't enough, which I can imagine just keeps you going.
Yeah. And like accomplishing more. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what was it that that the thought or the feeling or the something that popped into your head, or maybe it was something your intuition was telling you? It sounds like you had some sort of aha.
Yeah. So ever since I met Rodney, I like really admired his love for life and for the tiniest things. He celebrated everything, and there was just so much joy in him. And mind you, I was really happy. Like, if you had asked me, I was really happy. I'm very proud that I never took a job I wasn't passionate about. I got a lot of offers that were offering me double the money. That was never my intention, and I'm very proud that that's always been me. However, I still pushed myself and drove myself crazy. And so whenever I met him, right, and I saw this like joyful, incredible human, then I go and visit this group of people that are working on this program. And that's when I first of all thought the worst about coaching. And then I met, and I remember I told you my perception of a coach. Like I was like, these people that haven't accomplished anything and they want to tell me what to do. And then I met Catherine Woods, and I meet Kat, and she's like Peace Corps 7 years, MBA, economist for the government, like the most accomplished woman. Like if there's someone that like I would look at and be like, I want to be that, was her. And she left her fancy 6-figure job to be a coach, and she's an amazing coach. And also I was like, wow, she's done all of this, but now she's here. Her now, she looks so peaceful, so joyful. So whatever that thing she has, I want that. And then there was Alice. And when I met Alice too, I was just so like impacted by, yes, the accomplishment, but also the joy and the peace that was with that. And I felt like I have a very good relationship with God. For me, God's really important in my life. And I still felt like even with that, I still felt this need to perform, this need to like, it needs to be better and bigger, because it wasn't never enough. And again, it was not about the money. It was about me being worthy. And no matter what I did, there was something higher all the time.
Always chasing the next thing. Yeah. What was it that had you start to, like, did you have this new vision for your life? Did you even know what it was you were going to be saying yes to, or what pulled you towards that?
Sure. So I think it was a mix of several things. I had read a few like self-development books, not many honestly, but I had just found Brené Brown, and I was like stuck to one of her books, like glue. Like I actually bought it for him printed. I got the audiobook. I love Brené now. And a lot of the stuff that she said resonated with me and how I live life. Not only meet Kat and Alice, which was great, but I see my boyfriend transform. And then I see the people that he hangs out with transform too. My first coaching experience, and I remember crying. I was in a Pret a Manger in the city, and I remember being in a chair writing a lot of stuff and crying. And that's when I started seeing the hints of me feeling that I wasn't worth it. In that moment, I was like, I don't want to be a coach. I just want what they have. That was what I saw for myself. And it was a huge switch for me, because if you asked me a few months before, I would have said I want an MBA, which I still want. But that's not the point. It was bigger than me. Like it was a huge thing that was pulling me.
Yeah. I love that. So, and it's so great too, because I know you were very like anti this whole world. So how cool for you to actually experience it and have, an aha moment, or just an awareness around, something, learning something about yourself that had you curious enough to dive in and say, I want more of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, because sometimes, having that vision of what it is you want to create, we might not have it pinpointed, like exactly what it is. We just know it isn't what we have right now. It's something different.
Totally. And I think I was creating mostly for like, stuff I wanted, but I was like just letting myself be very realist and have crazy goals, and then beat myself up for not getting those. But I think it was that was the biggest thing I saw in my life now through this coaching lens, like, oh, I keep doing that. Like,
Yeah.
And honestly, I was like, I'm going to join this program and I'm going to fix myself. Like, that makes me laugh so much, because it's like completely opposite, but it was what I felt.
Yeah. Well, I love it too, because it sounds like it's not like you can't have these big goals and lists of accomplishments that you want to go for. It's just like, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm probably answering a question you're going to answer.
I think I was going to say I'm probably accomplishing more now, but there's no pushing. And that for me, it's the magic. So you were saying like, what's my relationship with goals? Now, I was just listening to Michelle. She was one of the 2 coaches that trained us. And she said, now I'm calling ball 8. I never used to call ball 8. And I was like, what is that? So she says that in pool, whenever you're going to, for every other ball, you can just hit and just, that's fine. For ball 8, you have to say, I'm going to put take ball 8 and I'm gonna use it, put it in that hole there. So you have to say what you're gonna do, and like, and she's like, I thought I was cooler by not calling ball 8 because that way nobody could tell me I didn't accomplish what I said I was gonna do. But now it's cooler to be like, hey, this is what I'm gonna go and do, and then go do it and be like, damn, I did it. So I think that was one of the biggest switches, like saying out loud what I wanted and going after it. Because before I would just not put goals, because, or like I would say them but I would not have them a what by when, because it would be like setting up myself for failure. That's kind of how it felt before.
Yeah, putting deadlines on it. It's like, oh,
And
but I don't hit it by then. Oh no. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then also like I would be just an asshole to myself. Like honestly, I would be like, you gotta do this. Like I put everyone else before me. I put my job before me. I like was connected to my phone. Like we were a glue. Like I remember spending a summer in France and my friends being like, you need to leave that phone. Like we're gonna lock it up in the room. And I was like, you don't understand. I have a store opening and I like need to be the person in charge. And that was like really crazy to me. Now seeing it from afar, I'm like, wow, what do I let myself do? And now like I have these goals, but I love this that my coach told me, that was a quote that said, fear pushes, but like vision pulls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it struck me so much that I kept it. I think I had it in a post-it, when I have it here on my wall somewhere, that says like the fear. Yeah, like I was being pushed by like, sorry, pain pushes, but vision pulls. And that was the quote that I was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be, I have this vision so clear to me of what I'm doing or where I'm running to, that I am not pushing myself. I am just being pulled by this brilliance that I know that I can have.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be done from love. One of my dear friends, we were chatting about life, and the way she chatted about it broke my heart, because it reminded me of me, like how I used to talk about life, and like, you just have to push and do more and be stronger, and like, you gotta go, like, life is for hustlers. And I was not gonna go out there and contradict her. For me, it just broke my heart. So I was like, that was me. And that was me not letting help come in. And like, now I know that I want to be supported, like hella supported. I want to be loved. I don't want to do this alone. You can totally do it. And it's part of one of my jewelry messages, right? Like, you can do it. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I really, honestly, I think life is so much better when you get supported, when you have friends and you get coaches and you get people around you that are going with you to the goals. But I think that was, yeah, I think that was also a big thing that came after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful to go through something transformative and then see yourself. Maybe it's not you, but see somebody who's like, oh, that was me, and identify with that. And I hear you about it being heartbreaking. And you can't, I mean, like, you came to this in your own way, right? And so does everybody. So when you were doing all the things and chasing all the accomplishments and chasing them, not chasing them, and achieving them, versus now, what was it within those accomplishments that you were actually looking to get?
I think it's just mostly the golden star, honestly.
Mm.
Like, oh, I won this on my wall of achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I like what I honestly, and this is true, like, I loved what I did. I wouldn't have done it. There's not 1 ounce of my blood that would have been in a job that was miserable. Like, I wouldn't. But I did put up with a lot of miserable job environments, like very toxic. And I stayed because for me, the accomplishment was worth it. And I had to, so funny. And I'm sure you are familiar with the hospitality world, but in the hospitality industry, even in manager jobs, because I was a manager, you would brag about the time you like, I haven't slept in 80 hours, or like, I haven't slept the whole week. Maybe I slept 5 hours or every night, or 3 hours every night. And people would brag about it. And I remember sitting in one of those tables after a long day at work and hearing them say that. And I was like, I don't want to brag about that. Like, just feeling very deeply inside of me. And I was like, there has to be more about life. This cannot be. And then I think it was also partly living in Italy and seeing how, like, Italians honestly enjoy life. Living in Europe was so great. It was very chill. It didn't feel like time was not running, you know? And I had a full-time job and I was doing my thesis for my master. So I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
But what they call busy, and I was in Milan, so I was in the capital, in the busy city. It was so chill compared to, especially to New York, right? But I think that, like, I knew I wanted that zest for life that
Mhm.
that was not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said about just the celebration of the, if my dog hopped up here, I'm sorry, she's on my lap. There you
It's
go.
all good.
Um, just the way I saw that when I was a teacher too. And at points, it was, let me see how much I can sacrifice myself and let that be a measure of how much I'm making a difference. And and from a place of like wanting to be valued and appreciated for that, until like you said, there came a point where I'm like, ew, I don't, I don't want to do life like this anymore. Yeah, it worked until it didn't.
Mm. And that's so true. And then as a number two, I'm an Enneagram number two, and you are too, so you understand this perfectly. As a number two, we're called a helper. So if you guys don't know your Enneagram, go look it up. I did the test 5 times because I didn't want to be a helper. I wanted to be something cool like my boyfriend that was a 7, the fun one. Um, and then after like 5 tests, I told him, "Fine, I'm a 2." Like he was like, "What's the gift of being a 2? There's so many gifts." And I can anticipate people's needs. I am very loving, and I even with strangers, I make them feel loved, and it's such a gift to be that for people. And I think honestly, for me, it's the best. Now is my favorite Enneagram, but I had to learn to love it. But I was gonna say like everything, and this is the whole title of the conversation, right? From love, not for love. After the whole year in the program, and this is like honestly my number one takeaway, if I can say only one thing I learned, which was not only one, was this switch. I stopped doing things for love and I started doing them from love, like from a place of knowing that I was already loved and I don't need to win that love. And and then stop doing to earn, because that's what I wanted. I wanted my CEO's praise. I wanted my, like, I loved recognition. And I think words of affirmation is one of my love languages. But I was doing all this, like I was literally being a chameleon, being like a mat, a floor mat, to be loved. And I would never like say no. I would never set boundaries. I started having anxiety attacks because one of my CEOs called me at 7 a.m. yelling, and that was normal for me. And I never stopped that. And that's not okay. But in that moment, I didn't see it as like, I was like, this is normal. Like, and I would say, I'm actually, he's the nicest with me than with anyone else. And it was true. But that's not like still excuse for that behavior, and like knowing that you're valued as human and that's not okay, and setting a line. Now I see it. Back then I didn't see that. And like I would always think everyone else was more valuable than me. And that would lead to these choices, right? Of like overextending, of like being everything for everyone. And then I also like, and I told my boyfriend, I just noticed this pattern that I am putting first strangers, and then like acquaintances, and then the people I love at the end, and then at the very end me. Because this is not consciously, unconsciously I felt he's gonna forgive me, Rodney is gonna love me no matter what. And then I rather look good with these new people that they don't know me or love me yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so silly. And I told him, now I'm actively choosing the opposite. I'm actively choosing to put you first because you are my partner. You're my family. And like then comes the rest of the people. And I adore my family. And of course they come first. But before, it wasn't the truth for me. I could say that, but it wasn't really happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I hear you on the almost the unconscious way that happens, where we end up giving people who maybe we're not that close with, or sometimes we don't even really like or respect, we end up giving them the best of us, and then everyone else who's actually really important to us, including ourselves, somewhere down that list.
I wasn't even on my list. Man, I was like me on the list of important things. No, now I'm the first person on my list.
Yes, yeah.
It was never that way.
Well, to go from how it used to be to how it is now, I mean, gosh, I wish it could just be a switch.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and we know it's definitely not. So over this course of this transformation that occurred in your life, to really go from doing all these things for love to still doing all of these things, but doing them from love. What were, and perhaps this is one of my favorite topics, but like, what were some of the messes that happened along the way? Like what got wild and crazy and just like, ugh.
Oh, I have many, but one of them was getting fired the first time. It was not fired; it was let go, but still, like I did nothing wrong, but they were like restructuring, and I think mostly it was because I didn't overextend myself. Like my coworker that we're on the same level, she wouldn't sleep, she wouldn't eat, she would live there, she wouldn't take vacation. I had 20-day vacation that I negotiated, and I took it gladly. I was a very different person after the last job before that because I literally lived for the work. And then I met my boyfriend and life changed. And I wasn't, I just started the program, by the way, during this job. And then when they fired me, I was sad, like, of saying goodbye, but I was really happy of not working there, which shows, right? Like it was a gift. But I think that was one of the biggest messes. And honestly, Martha pre-program would have thought she was a failure. She would have pretty much thought that her life was over. And as much as it did hit me, I was already prepared. And I remember calling my coach and saying, like, I'm crying because I'm a crier, but I'm fine and I'm gonna be okay. And like, and not only that, I it was a while that I wanted to leave the food industry and I wanted to work in jewelry because that's where I went to school for it and I loved. And I was like, I'm gonna look for a job in jewelry. And I was like, who the F is gonna hire me? I have no experience in jewelry. I have a lot of education. And I made jewelry this past 15 years. I just never worked at it. Well, I got a job offer and then it fell through and I stayed calm and then I got another. But that, right? Like all these messes, and I'm not saying it was perfect. Yes, I cried. And yes, I was like, is this really gonna happen? And just reminding myself first of my biggest commitments and then why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think it's very rare we sit down and speak about this. So I think that's why like working with my coach was for me so crucial. And then honestly, having Rodney also be a coach because sometimes I would get on my head and and having him talk me through, he's like an amazing coach, by the way, having him talk me through things was just life giving. He wouldn't give me any advice. I am more advicey than him. He would give me zero advice. He'll just be with me and be a mirror. God, what a difference, like a huge difference. And yeah, and I think going back to that, like there were so many things that went wrong before it went right, right? Like during the program, I think a lot of things started breaking down and my old way of being would still be there and like would try to take like fear would come in. Even now, I was telling him I there's been so many changes and we'll get to that, but I started my jewelry brand. I had 10 years with the business plan ready and it never launched. So that happened. And then because of COVID, I had a full-time job. I was furloughed and then I was let go. I smiled on that call. I was just like the person, like there was not even a single tear. I was just so shocked of the person that I was being then. And it was so, yeah, it was so transforming. I think I could say like I could see it now. And I think I was telling someone recently, I am seeing the seeds now, the fruit of the seeds that I planted a year and a half ago. That maybe nobody was seeing that. And like back then you couldn't have seen me now and I couldn't have seen me now. And I'm 100%, like 180 transformation. And people that know me from both sides, like my coach was saying, I just did a year program. We're almost finishing with her. After my training program, I did another mastermind. And she would told me, Martha, night and day, like you're a different human. And it's so powerful to see. So that, like, damn, it took so much mess. And I think that's something we say in coaching, right? Like breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. There was so much mess. There was so much more boundaries. There was so much exploring myself. I remember the call when my coach told me, like, what do you want? Or what do you need? And I started crying and I was like, I don't even know what I need. I was so heartbroken for like myself because I was like, who doesn't know what they need? That's so messed up. But I was so disconnected, right?
Yeah. There's a couple things I'm hearing in what you're sharing. Like I'm hearing that this process of transformation of shifting from doing things for love to now doing them from love, and the mess that happened along the way. It sounds like, I mean, let's be honest, we're still going to have messes. In that transformation, having the messes along the way, it sounds like in the process, whenever you're doing them for love, right? That suddenly these messes are very tragic. But when you realize that the love starts here, it's actually like, I don't know, it sounds like there's just this knowing, like, hey, I'm gonna be okay.
I love that reflection because it just made me realize, like, for me, before failure meant that I was a failure. Now, a mess or failure means that I made a mistake or like that thing didn't work out, but it's not who I am. And that was the thing. And honestly, all of this we're saying, I understood it here. I could give you a lecture. That was not the problem. I could understand it here. This download was the longest freaking road from here to here. Is the longest
Head
freaking road.
to heart, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could rationalize all of these things. I was still not believing it for myself, and I could see it on others and be like, why is that not true for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know through the process of what you've shared here that you've actually you've shared some names of people who inspired you along the way. But I'd love to hear, just, in the name of us actually knowing some more strong women, because it takes a village, right? Who are some? I know you mentioned Kat and Alice and Michelle, but who are some people? Brene. Let's just say Brene, like we know her.
Um,
Is there anyone else, whether it's podcasts or books or people in your life that really, or even now, just inspire you to keep going in this direction?
I was gonna say, like, I guess actually mostly the people that are closer to me. I Yes, I hear podcasts and read books sometimes, but I think it's mostly like you that we're close, and Jenny. I think everyone from program we became so close. But like honestly, Jenny Wolf, she's also one of our fellow coaches, and we became so close. And it's so funny. I was just thinking of that, like how in the beginning I felt that we're so different. And we did this exercise, and I'll never forget it. She was like, "I can never hire you because you'll be laughing all the time, and we didn't get stuff done." And in the end, we're so similar. And now we chat all the time about business, about life, and it's just so great to be together. And I think that was one of the biggest gifts. Like people that I thought I was not going to be so close with, now I'm like, oh, that we're amazing together. So I would say people. I'm part of two masterminds. So I think the women in both masterminds, like there's the one I'm doing with Kat, my coach, and yes, of course, Kat. I adore her. But everyone else in that group, Emmy, Ellen, Liz, and I'm blanking on names, but I promise. Jackie and Mari, like everyone in that group was amazing. Is amazing. And then my other group of mastermind, like my coach Deepshika, she's like a powerful and incredible woman of color, which for me it's so great to see diversity leading. So she's the incredible lead generation coach. And my body, like body system. So like every month we get, well, for me, the whole program, I have my buddy, and Allison is like freaking an angel. Like I was telling her, like after telling Rodney something, and then I run to text you. So for me, it's huge. I think having these people that in the mess with you and know, and like I am super happy one day because we haven't spoke about it, but after being let go, I started my consultancy company, which ended up being great, and I hit like 5 figures on my first month. So for me that was insane because I tripled what I was making in my job in my first month, and I was like, what? But it seems easy on the outside. It was not. And also before I did that, I wasn't wanting to charge $100 to my friend to do a 10-hour project. A month before I got the 10,000 a month. So it's really funny because even that month, like
Just
we're
the
talking June, May,
transformation continues. Yeah.
but yeah, I would say people in my circles, of course, everyone on this call, like Haley, we've been talking because of one of the groups we're part of. And now we're talking weekly. She became my marketing, branding, coaching client. Like she's letting me do all this work with her. And it's been amazing. She has a beautiful brand, a beautiful heart. Charu, that's in this call, we've known each other for 11 years. She's literally been my rock and I've been her rock. So she is a powerhouse, a badass. And then Emily and me just met through Instagram. So I love social media just for that. And she's the one that designed this gorgeous mug. And I think for me, it's really seeing women doing things that we're told we're not okay to do. And I think that for me is powerful.
Yeah.
Like things that we're not supposed to be or do, doing those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to hound you for if any of those people have accounts we can follow or up to big things. Like I think just like bringing community together and celebrating each other And anybody who you see is worthy of being in your circle, like I want to know them. And what I hear in that is in the process of any sort of transformation, that surrounding yourself with people to support you is huge, but also like taking the initiative to there's a mentor of mine who says initiate the kinds of conversations you want to be in. Like go find your people because they're out there.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Like not, and I was saying this in the beginning of this call, like I don't want to keep things on surface level because it's not worth it for me. And it's so funny. Like Hailey and me barely known each other for like a month and a half, and we're super close. Like we're actually going to meet in person soon. And half of these people in this masterminds I've never met in person, and like I love them. We're so close. But even, and I think now with COVID we're like living this. But even my best friend, honestly, we're closer now. She's in Mexico, and we're closer now because of COVID. She just had her baby, and I am obsessing all over the super cute Evan, and like she's sending me photos all the time. And that, like having those connections and talking about fear and telling her, you know what, I am so scared of launching this in my business, and having her support me and remind me. And I think it happened like 2 weeks ago, like having you guys. Honestly, everyone in the team, it's awesome because I remember being so scared about negotiating like something for my new job, for my new company that I founded last month. And it was almost a 6-figure deal. And I was like, this is scary. And I messaged everyone and I was like, guys, I need you to tell me why I'm great. Like, I need you guys to acknowledge me. This is something we do often in coaching, but like I literally cried because I got so many voice notes. I got like Brent's video. I was like, one of our teammates. That support, that level of like being there for you, it's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's out there.
And it's out there for everyone. And I think, and I'm number one, like I hate asking for help. I love supporting people. I hate asking for help. So one of our trainers told me, Michelle was like, I had to learn when I was pregnant because if not, I was an asshole if I didn't ask for help because I was really pregnant. I was like, that's so true. When I had surgery, I had to ask Rodney for things. I hated it. I'm a very independent human. I never liked asking for help. And I think that's been the biggest transformation, like asking for support and being like, hey, I need this. And this is what I need from you. And like most people love to help you. That's the crazy thing. And we're so into our heads that like what we make it mean, right? For me, yeah. Asking for help meant being weak. And it's absolutely not that. I think people that ask for help are stronger. I just didn't see it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also want to say, like I didn't mention, but like Rowena is here and she's part of a group called the Pro Group that I joined recently. I've never had creative like friends like groups, and that group has been life-changing. So that's why she's here, because we met through there. So I think finding your people and being like willing to join things, like that's how I know Hailey too for the jewelers group. So anyway, I think finding your people and just be willing to enter the rooms, right? Like even if we're not invited, to come and say hi and meet the people and take action. So
yeah, don't wait for the invite, go create it. That's why I created Strong Women DC, was I wanted to create this group. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to just hear from those of you who are live on the call, if there's anything that really resonated with you from what Martha just shared, whether it's something you identify with, or maybe it was something she said and it kind of hit you and it made you uncomfortable and you're like examining something. That's cool too. Like maybe it was something you needed to hear. But yeah, happy to open it up here for just some organic sharing.
I'll go first. Okay, I think I resonate with like always striving to have more or have a better version of yourself, for um doing for love and doing from love. Did I get it right? Yes, because before I'm kind of same with Martha, like I'm a product management manager as well in franchising company. It's a multi franchising company, and every time we open stores, I'm the one who will do the management and everything, training, and I think I did it for 2 years, almost 1 year, and I feel like I'm stuck or what, like going in and out in a company. Like I'm happy seeing all my colleagues other employees. But when I um go home, I feel like so tired from my
Mm-hmm.
body and everything. And there's one turning point in my life that I'm not happy anymore. Like I want to spread my wings. I'm not happy anymore because I did it for love. Like I did it for love because the owner of the company is the one who helped me through my college degree, and I'm just like giving back. So it's not it's not from love. And I decided to resign, and that's when I started to focus more on my creative skills. And this is what I love. This is from love.
Mhm.
So yeah, so something like that. And I'm so happy that Martha is right that you will found a place where you really belong, where you really appreciated, where you're really giving so much love without, I mean, unconditional love.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yep.
thanks for sharing that because it's I think we all reach a point where we feel like we can't, where we feel stuck,
Hmm.
it feels impossible. And I love just any example I have of somebody who felt that way and pushed through and did it anyway. Yes, it just shows us it's possible. Martha, I'd love to hear from you, like what's next for you, because I know that like it's about the journey, right? Like things just
Oh,
don't just transform and it's over.
I was freaking out like last weekend about how everything was gonna implode on me. It's so funny. We were talking about this, like how when things are going well, you're like something's gonna go wrong. Like it cannot be, life cannot be this good. So honestly, I see more growth in stepping more into like speaking more this story and then other stories because I think there's people out there that resonate with it. And then growing my business and not like being sorry for it. You know, I think as women we're like, you need to be like, you don't have to be loud, you don't have to be, and I don't give a hell. Like I think that like in also stepping into owning my full self. I think that was also another thing. Like I didn't want to be seen as like she's so indecisive. Like how is she an industrial designer, a graphic designer, a jewelry designer, and now she's a marketing person and she was in the food industry and then she was like I look if you look at my story you're like she was all over the place and I felt there was something weak about me like I didn't stay anywhere I know and now and a coach and now I'm like yes I'm all these things together and that's what makes it even better when I approach anything right in life and in work so I think that stepping into a business owner role not just an employee or not I think the biggest thing for me this year was this year, like this past 3 months, was like, I don't want to come here home and create a 9 to 5 for myself. That's not
Yeah.
the goal. The goal is build a business I am absolutely in love with, that I work with people I want to work with, that can afford me, and that I do stuff I love and that I don't work myself off. Like, you know, like I don't want to work again until I like I burn out. And I think that's a thing. And I also noticed that like sometimes, of course, now I have to go and make sales and all of these things. And there's this fear coming and telling me, you know what? Like my first one was amazing, and then I heard this voice. This is good luck. It's gonna end. Like have
Oh,
fun. Because
that voice stays there. It
because
doesn't go
it's not
away.
gonna work out. And then I just realized like this is a huge thing. I was doing a training maybe 2 days ago around fear. It's really cool. The leader was saying like that voice that you hear, we mask it to be our voice. Like we think it's ourselves. There was someone we disappointed when we were kids. Most of the time is one of our caregivers that it's their voice and then we mask it with our own voice and we think it's ourselves that we're like talking bad, but it's one of those primary caregivers. And then I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that it was this imaginary voice, you know, like that was speaking to me. And it was maybe the fact and we didn't get to talk about that, but like my dad and my mom were not together. So I felt like I wasn't worth it because my dad left. By the way, I've known this all my life. We had a great relationship now. It took me a year working with my coach to one day be like, oh, now I know why I believe I'm not worthy. Was because if I wasn't worthy for my dad to stay, I'm not worthy for no one to.
Yeah.
It was such a crazy thing to think of. And I was like, yes, this asshole thing that I think is myself, because I think I'm a worst critic, it doesn't come from me. I learned to mimic it and make it my voice. It's not my voice.
Yeah, that's so powerful, because I think we, you know, there's intuition, right? There's like trusting your gut, and then there's fear. And if we think that that voice is actually us, and it's our fear talking, we might think it's our intuition, like trying to like just trust your gut here, and it's not the same thing. It's some bullshit.
Yeah. And
Like,
I was like that. I also that like I think the more you learn to know yourself and what you need and want and ask for it, like I became someone that asked for what she wants. I never did that because I was more afraid of hearing no than actually getting what I wanted. So I ended up never asking for stuff. And now I'm like, it's so funny. I'm in the middle of the day and we have each our own office in our home, and I go knock and I'm like, I want a hug. Like I do that, and I noticed. I was telling him like now I notice that I ask for what I want, even if it's something small. If I just need to be heard, if I just need to share something, or like if I just feel a certain way, I used to hide it and I used to eat it up because I was like, he doesn't need to hear that, and then yeah, and then now I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this, and what you said made me feel this way, and I don't want to keep it to myself, and I know it's not the truth. That took so much for me to come to that. Like it's incredible. But anyway, yeah, that's coming up. And then yeah, that like story I was the week I was like, what if I don't make money? And then like everything is gonna implode. Like all the stories about how it's not gonna work out.
yeah.
And then just reminding myself like I am loved. I have someone that loves me. Like I told him like it's just so great to be like, you're here and it's gonna be okay and I'm gonna figure this out. You know, intuition, it's powerful. And I think we don't trust ourselves as much. And I think I'm listening to take more decisions from my gut. Even as I think as a marketer, you're like trained not to. And as a consultant, like I work in marketing, I used to I look at all the ROIs. Like I used to track data. So that would like make my decisions even in business. And now even in business, there's things that I'm like, if this is not sitting well with me, I don't think we should do this. So I think it's really important to listen to your gut.
Yeah, and I think us as women, like we're trained to just be happy with what we have and to not get greedy and to just kind of like even in subconscious ways stay small. And so the minute that our intuition says, "Ooh, I want that," then the fear or the shame voice comes in and says, you know, selfish, or you should just be grateful for what you have. Like sometimes gratitude becomes this way to keep us small. Like just be
Yeah.
it's like take up space. Come on now, take up space. Ah, Martha, thanks for taking up space with us tonight, sharing with us your part of your story. Or, you know, it sounds like there's more. We could talk for hours.
We would probably talk for hours, but thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm just it's just such a joy to connect with you. I feel like we spent 5 minutes here, and I looked at the time, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Lies. Yeah. Again, if you're catching the replay, like please share what you're taking away from this in the comments. Like let's keep this conversation going. Martha, where can we find you and all your brilliance?
Sure. So my consulting, marketing, coaching company, it's Martha C. Garza, Martha with an H, Martha C. Garza, GARZA.com. You can find me on Instagram as at Martha Cristina, Martha with H, Cristina with no H. And then you can find me for my jewelry at marthacristina.com. So Martha with H, Cristina no H.com. Or my super long Instagram name at Martha Cristina Jewelry. There you can see my jewelry. Both things use my name. One uses my Cristina, the other one doesn't. So I have a very long Mexican name.
We'll make sure we get that posted. Sorry if you hear sirens. It's a city.
Sounds good.
But we'll make sure, like anybody who will send a link or make sure you guys get this information so that you can follow Martha, see all the amazing stuff that she's up to. We didn't even say like I'm wearing like one of your necklaces here.
We're both wearing my necklace.
Yeah. And one of your rings. Those of you who are, if you're listening to a recording, sorry. I guess you're just gonna have to go look up some photos to know what we're talking about.
My ring.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for everyone that joined live. It really means the world to me that you guys are here. Thank you for taking the time, Emily. Thank you, Rowena. Thank you, Charu. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you so much. Any parting words before people go?
I would love to connect with anyone that's interested. Like, honestly, this is what has been so cool. You are such an inspiration, Megan, and I love all the work you do. And you are such a leader in light. And then, like, you're not only doing work, you're doing a mission. Like, this is bigger than anything. It's not coaching, it's not community, it's like a whole movement. So I'm really, really proud of you for seeing you grow into this too. And then inspired. Like, this is fire. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect that to turn into acknowledgement of me. And I'm going to take it. Something I've learned to do is actually not to ask for help, ask for what I need, but actually receive. Thank you for that. You are such a powerhouse and such grace and just like, like just the way you go through life. Like, thank you so much for all the fire. And yeah, I'm just so happy.
Thank you, Rowena.
It will be episode 2. We will let you know. That's a great note to end on. Awesome. All right, everyone, listen. Keep this conversation going. If you even days from now something sparks in you, reach out to your circles. Reach out to us. Yeah, this is about sharing our stories and supporting each other through it. Yeah, totally. Okay. Sounds good, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're so happy you could join us.